Okay guys, so welcome back to the second video in the Matplotlib series. Today we're going to be running through line graphs and also how to make multiple lines on one graph within Matplotlib. So these graphs are represented as coordinates within a Cartesian plane, practically graphed onto a Matplotlib PNG graph. But the way this gets confusing is because within Python or within Matplotlib itself, these coordinates are represented in two different arrays normally. For ease of use, we are going to write an x and y array, which will store all our x coordinates in the x array and all our y coordinates in the y array. So firstly, we can make one of these arrays. Now we'll just count up to 5, and then we'll do the exact same for the y array as well. Okay, so what this basically is meaning when it is compiled into Matplotlib to be graphed is it's looked at as this being an x coordinate and a y coordinate, just like a normal coordinate would be an xy like this. We have our first coordinate would be 1 1 and then 2 2 and so on. So now that we have these two arrays, we can move forward and plot them within Matplotlib. So as from the first video, this is using the Matplotlib's plot function from the pyplot package, which we have imported up the top here, and we've imported it to use as Plt, so we've basically signed it the name Plt, so we can now call on it using Plt. So Plt.plot, and then you want to plot x and y, and then Plt.show, and then you can run this and you get a Matplotlib output. So here we go. So we've just done 1 2 3 4 5. So obviously it's going up 1 1 2 2, and it's auto set our axis range and tick points in respect to what our values were for our coordinates. So 1 to 5 and 1 to 5, because we don't have any coordinates on this line that are over a value of 5 on either axes, either y or x. So with Matplotlib, as you can see in the bottom right corner here, when you go onto the graph with your mouse pointer, you can actually see where your mouse pointer is exactly within the graph. So as you can see, we're at exactly like 381 275 coordinate here, and you get that moving around everywhere. So when you have lines on here and you want to know exactly at what point, when you recognize something visually within your plot and you want to source a actual coordinate for where that visual spike within your line or dip within your line happens, you can just by pointing at it with your mouse in the Matplotlib PNG output and getting the coordinates from the lower right hand corner. So besides that, we have So that's basically how you plot line graphs within Matplotlib and within Python. Now I'm just going to show you how to plot multiple lines within one graph. So to do this, we are going to name this x1 and this can be y1, and then we can repeat the same process with an x2 array, and let's say we want this to count maybe in 2s, so we get a different sort of line happening. And then y2 following the same structure, 8 10. So now that you have these, you can make these turn into x1 and y1, and then you want to make a new Plt plot function call on x2 and y2 now. So just like that. Then keeping that Plt Show. Plt Show, if you don't know what that is and you didn't watch the previous video, Plt Show just always allows you to have the graph actually output into the PNG form that you can see. So to actually see your graph, you need Plt.show to be at the end of any code file within Python while using Matplotlib to see it. Okay, so if we just run this, we can see we have 2 lines. So they're both linear, so they are both straight lines, and we were expecting that because we're counting up in equal numbers of coordinates. So no one coordinate is opposite numbers. They're the exact same numbers at every point. See, 1 1 2 2 2 2. You know, if we change this up a bit, we'll start to see the lines change. So let's say we'll have the x count up at steeper intervals, then the y, and we'll see the line change slightly. So you can just run this again. You see we have actually 2 different sized lines, and why this happens is because our first line is only having a maximum value of 6, so it has no further distance or no further coordinates that we have given it on this graph so far. Whereas our second line, x2 and y2, goes to a maximum value of 12. As you can see up here, it ends at 12. So that's the reason for that. You normally want to have lines within the same kind of ballpark when plotting them on the same graph, because honestly, lines that people plot on the same graph on Matplotlib are normally lines of almost the same data set with slight variances over long periods of time, so they can see how it changes. But yeah, in a future video we'll go through subplots, and that's where you can plot whole different plots at once. So not 2 lines in the same Cartesian plane, if you want to look at it, but you can plot say 2, 3, 4 different whole plots like this that will be side by side. So that's a future video. We'll go through that, but for now we're just covering plotting multiple things within the same output and the same plot. So moving forward from this, I just want to show you a few extra tips that are going. Okay, so moving on for this, I just want to show you a few extra tips moving on from the previous video, which is where I went over, I believe, a title and axes labels. So we can actually give our 2 lines labels as well as our axes and our title. So to do this, all you have to do is in the plot statement, you want to comma out and then write label equals, and then you write what you want to call it. I'm just going to name this line 1, and I'm going to do it to the second line as well, and I'm going to call this line 2. Now, to actually see these labels within the graph, we need a legend, just like a normal legend within any graph you would do either in school if you've drawn a graph before, or other softwares, maybe Excel and things like that. We need a legend to display our line names and also what our line looks like, or a color, or at least something that we can use to signify and visualize and locate which line is attached to which name. So to plot a legend, all we have to do now that we've labeled our lines is call plt.legend and then brackets around there because it's a function call. So if you save and run this now, you should have a legend. So as you can see, we have a legend up to the top left here, line 1 and line 2. So as you can see, it's telling us the blue line is line 1 and the orange line is line 2. So there you go. You can now identify which line is representing which kind of data. For example, say we had, for instance, this was cats and this was dogs. Let's say something real life. So if we plotted it before without labels, no one looking at our graph would know what line is graphing how much dogs and cats they are. They wouldn't be able to differ between dogs or cats. And if someone wasn't informed about the study at all, they might not even know that this graph is even on dogs and cats at all, never alone which line is cats and which line is dogs. So if we plot this now, we can see cats, dogs. So now someone looks at this and go, okay, let's just say, go with a normal example, like the x-axis is time and the y-axis is amount. So over 2 days there was 2 dogs at the park and there was 1 cat or something like that, you know, normal graph stuff. So that's gonna do it for today's video on Matplotlib within Python, where we covered plotting multiple lines within one output plot. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like down below. I'd really enjoy that. And if you didn't, go ahead, leave a dislike below. I really enjoy that as well. Helps me find out what you guys liked and what you guys didn't like about my videos and try and make those dislikes likes. So in the next video, we'll be going through histograms within Python, so I hope you can join me for that one. That'll be Matplotlib video 3, episode 3. So we'll be going through histograms within Python and Matplotlib and how you can use Python code and the Matplotlib package to plot your very own histograms on your computer. So I hope you can join me for that one. So without further ado, I've been Sxlly and I'll see you in the next one.